Welcome. I'm Lisa Curtis, in case you hadn't noticed it from the place that you signed on from. I've been getting a bunch of questions lately, and I wanted to hop on. So I'm going to do a series of what I'm going to call one-take wonders. Time is a little crunched, but I feel like they're important topics. So I'll break them up for you in terms of the videos, but know that this might be considered my one-take wonders. Okay, so this number one-take wonder, I really wanted to talk to you guys about the reason why more and more therapists are moving to self-pay only. I know there's a lot of controversy about it. I know that it is discouraging and hard when you are looking for a therapist to hear over and over again that we are only taking self-pay clients. And I want to explain that to you so that it makes a little bit more sense. And yes, I am one of those clinicians who is moving to a self-pay model. But there's a pretty good reason for that. In case you didn't know, insurance companies, well, you already know this, insurance companies are monopolies. They are for-profit businesses. And as such, they don't really like to negotiate fees with clinicians. Now, I'm not going to say that all of them are terrible and awful. Just most of them. And they mostly pay rates that are far below not only what our skill level is, but far below what would be a real wage for the areas that we live in. I'll give you a really great example. I can't, believe it or not, tell you the name of the company, but I will tell you, and there's a reason for that, because these are it's an antitrust thing, so I'm not allowed to discuss my exact reimbursements. Even though I'm no longer under contract with them, I'm not going to discuss the exact numbers, but you'll get the idea. I'm in New York, just so you know. I am just outside of Metro New York City area, and this company, not only do they not negotiate rates, but their rate of reimbursement is somewhere between $66 and $68 per session. Okay? I want you to take that in. Between $66 and $68 per session is what they were reimbursing. And that is, by the way, total reimbursement. So if the person with that insurance came to me and had a reimbursement, or had a copay, of $20, the $20 would be taken off of the $66 to $68, and the insurance company would pay me for that balance in between. So the total reimbursement was that number. I am also contractually not allowed to charge the client more than that. I have to keep it to that number only. Now, I know there are plenty of clinicians out there who will say, well, let's make this easy because I can't do math on the fly. My rate is $100 an hour, or $200 an hour is much more appropriate. My rate is $200 an hour. If they're only going to pay $68 total reimbursement, my client needs to pay the $20 in copay plus the difference in between. Again, contractually, we are not allowed to do that. And while I am more than happy to occasionally go 40 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone, I'm not going to be breaking those rules. So that's number one reason why a lot of clinicians are leaving the different panels. The other piece is that for that reimbursement amount between $66 and $68, I have to argue for every single penny. I have to pay for a biller, or I have to use my own time to put in the billing for it. I often am rejected because I have done something wrong, or they want me to justify your diagnosis code. So that rate, $66 to $68 an hour, gets further eaten into. So by the end of the day, it is not uncommon for us to end up taking in a grand total of maybe $15 an hour when all is said and done. That's reason number one. Reason number two, a lot of us are moving off, is because we're never granted rate increases. That particular company, In New York State, that's between $66 and $68 per reimbursement. That has never changed. They have refused every single request I and countless others have made to bump up their rates. They've just refused. And for the record, since it is one of the largest providers in New York State, they cover a huge number of people. You would think that maybe they would want to stay competitive with clinicians, so clinicians stayed with them. They don't care. Their philosophy seems to be, there's always another clinician who will fill my spot. And they're right. There is always a new clinician, or a clinician who is afraid, or a clinician who feels like this is the best that they can do, or who wants to be able to offer more services to more people. The problem is, in return, as a clinician, we don't get our own needs met. We struggle. That's not your problem, that's our problem. But that's part of the rationalization, or not even rationalization, that's part of the reason why a lot of us are getting off of these panels. Reason number 2, we have to give you a diagnosis code. In order to get reimbursed, in order to be able to file that paperwork, we have to give you a diagnosis code. And in case you didn't know this, your diagnosis code literally will follow you throughout your life. Okay? That ear infection that you had when you were 15, some insurance company has dumped it into a data bank and it's there. They're going to find it. That time when you were 16 and you ended up in the emergency room, that's there. When you were 25, that's there. So every single diagnosis that we have ever put in for reimbursement on is in some data bank. But you say to yourself, oh, well, that's okay. I mean, they're going to keep these data banks, secure and private, and it's not a big deal. Data breaches happen all the time. You and I both know how often our credit cards have been compromised, how often things happen. So for me, that was also a pretty strong motivator to get off. I very much value my own privacy, and I value your privacy. And by the way, your future. If you have a diagnosis that, like a substance use disorder or a major depressive episode, and in 5 years or 10 years you decide to go get a job with the FBI or work in government or run for a political office, that will come back and more than likely bite you in the tuchus. So another reason why I left. And that is actually one of the biggest reasons why I left. So between the reimbursement rate and your lack of, or not being able to guarantee your privacy for you, those were 2 pretty big motivating factors for me. I also, quite honestly, and so this is reason number 3, I don't want to keep having to justify, nor have you justify, the reason why you continue to stay with me, or with whatever provider you choose to go to. Insurance companies often dictate the level of service, the frequency of service, and the type of service that we are allowed to provide, or that they feel is in your best interest. I cannot begin to tell you how often I have heard, well, but they seem better. It's been a month, 2 months in a row where you've said that they've been stable, so why are they still with you? Well, because my client chooses to be with me, because my client chooses that level of support and knows what's good for them. Ultimately, I believe that you know what's in your best interest and what's good for you. So 3 motivations for clinicians to get off of panels, and why it is that we are moving to a self-pay rate and practice model. It's not that we're greedy. I'm sure there are some of them out there who are. It's not that we are, looking to vacation every year in Cancun on your dime. I don't have a yacht. I'm not doing that. I am trying to do exactly what you're trying to do. I'm trying to earn a living that meets my needs and allows me to think about my own future, so that I can also be available and provide you the best quality service. If I am so frantic and so frazzled because in order to make my bills I need to see 10 clients a day for 5 days a week, do you really want to be that 10th client? Or, heaven forbid, do you want to be that 50th or 45th client that I see in the week? I don't think so. So, lots of reasons. I'm sure you have questions. I'm sure you have thoughts about it. Please don't hesitate to reach out and ask me. I'm more than happy to have a dialogue with you as the world begins to shift and navigate around what is becoming more and more obviously a broken healthcare system, these are just some of the ways that we're trying to make it all work. So, again, I hope that was helpful to you. My name is Lisa Curtis. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and credentialed alcoholism counselor. I hope you found this helpful to you, and I wish you the very best for your day. Bye.